On today's episode, we're connecting DJ Dali from New York City with an absolute bass boss, Reid Speed. What made you want to DJ?
Watching all the other DJs,
Really?
working at the tunnel and seeing all these superstars come through every week. It was like, wow, these guys are doing something really cool. But going to these clubs was something new for me because I couldn't go to a club in New Jersey and do what I did in New York. People looked at me weird, And then when I found these mega clubs where it was filled with so many different types of people, I was able to be myself and not feel judged. And that's where I was able to be more artistic. I was like, well, these DJs, they're making these people dance. That's a bigger feat than being the dancer. I think that would be cool to move an entire room with something that's in my thought pattern in music. And that's when I started collecting records to say, I'll DJ one day. And never really took it seriously, but I said I would. And you know what? I did. I sat at home when I had no job in the industry for a little while and trial and error.
You had like a little focus group that was giving you feedback?
I did. I had my roommates and then I had my two best friends at the time that were in the industry saying, well, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And I never really paid too much mind to what other people say because I think it's important to be an individual in your art, in your music, whatever it is. Constructive criticism will get you to the point of where you really want to be that you don't see yourself getting to because you have a wall up and not realizing it. And I think that somewhere around 2005, that wall broke down for me and I felt that I was ready to be on the circuit and DJ out. And next was trying to get gigs. And
so what was your first gig?
How did
it go?
Not bad. My first official gig was up in Connecticut in Hartford. It was called Independence Night. So instead of Independence Night, it was a 4th of July event.
Oh, nice.
And it was a rave. It was in a grungy venue. It wasn't pretty. And it was one of the best times because I didn't expect anything. I just went in there with an open mind and thought I was going to mess up the whole time. And I wound up being the opening DJ, which nobody ever has anybody to play for at that time of night. And I had a packed room as the opening DJ for the night because people wanted to see my first set. And that was an awesome feeling.
So you're saying all your focus groups came out?
They did. And they traveled from 3 different states, New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut to see me play. And that showed loyalty and I realized, wow, I actually have something to build off of here.
You have a following.
Yeah, and that's how it started. Back in the day, we wanted to keep it underground, to keep it intimate. But at the same time, we always wanted to be bigger to have more people to play to.
Have more money, right?
And more money. And so, which do you choose? And I think a lot of guys have unfortunately tumbled away and never really gone anywhere with their careers because they didn't want to be a part of something commercialized. And me, I think it's great for culture and electronic culture because obviously electronic music is everywhere now. Commercials, TV, movies, anything you see, some type of EDM thing is related to it. And I think it's awesome. I think it's great that we got to that point, being that I saw it from basements and warehouses in New York and the Bronx and Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, you're like a walking party central. I went on your Twitter and I was like, literally, I can find out about anything and everything that's going on in New York City.
That show at Ghastly was great, yeah. We've had him multiple times. David's a great dude. I love that his career is blowing up right now. I think we had his first show in New York actually at Girls and Boys. We've done many drum and bass shows. We've had the legend Andy C there multiple times. We've booked every DJ. We had Skrillex's first show ever in New York City. He played our last show ever at Girls and Boys for the closing of Webster Hall.
Did you know he's gonna get so big after?
I knew from the day I met him he was gonna be a superstar. Yeah, that guy is a genius. He's a musical genius and he deserves it. He's one of the nicest guys ever, In fact, the first conversation I ever had with him was a 2-hour conversation about drum and bass. And he wasn't even making it at the time yet. And he was already so passionate about something. And I knew he was the real deal. And a lot of guys like that get bad hypes of being posers or fakes or this and that. Sonny is as real as you get, and it was cool to see him really flourish in his career.
In terms of the business side of things, like booking, how would you go about that? If you're an up-and-comer and you're trying to get into a business, right now it's, I guess, a lot harder?
It is, yes. I would pick and choose wisely who you work with, and most importantly, run with a good crew to start with that's respectable in our industry. That may be hard to get.
How do you find those crews?
Trial and error again on the internet.
This guy.
Finding your niche in your neighborhood. If I'm a little lucky, I'm based out of one of the biggest cities in the country, in the world actually, but people in Wisconsin or in the middle of, Kentucky, they really need to be on the internet and networking with people in their community, even if it's just 5 or 6 people in their state, and stay true to that community. And if they're talented, their art and their music will prevail and stand out.
Okay, that's dope. Well, thank you for shopping it out with us.
No problem.
We're gonna have another person join us now. times when most music entities are about economies of scale, let's meet the founder of Economy of Joy, Reid. So, back in 1996, let's go back.
Okay. Hopefully I can remember.
You were one of the first female DJs in the industry, right? Now you're, I think, one of the only ones that play drum and bass.
There's a few.
Yeah, like
Not too many.
not too many still. So, how was that back then and compared to now, being like, you know, the only one, the only child?
When I started, I feel that being a woman was super helpful because there weren't any. So the fact of being like the only one at first, I was like the token female DJ. But then the fact of being really good, that was cool. Then I got a bunch of residencies, and if I was a guy, I don't think that I would have been afforded those opportunities just from being good.
And now?
As the years went by, it became clear that certain people in the industry are incredibly misogynistic, and they will hide that from you, and they will act like they want to work with you, and they want to, oh, let's build fam, we like see your vision, whatever, and then you join their team, and then all of a sudden you're blacklisted from your whole life, and you're like, what happened? And it's really just because they don't like you. And when you're a woman and you have personality conflicts with people, it's easy for people to dismiss you and say, oh, you're a bitch, oh, she's difficult, she's such a diva. And it's like, oh, but if a man acts the same way, he's a genius, he's a visionary. But that was the kind of stuff that made me realize, oh, now that I'm in the industry, then there's all these dudes that just want to make sure that I stay in this one place and I don't ever like take away from these other dudes. There are more opportunities for female DJs and producers who, there's a lot breaking through now, and I'm happy to see a few that are very talented breaking through, but I also see a lot of like playing into these stereotypes kind of people breaking through where you're like, why? You know, there's plenty of people who've actually put in the work where it's like, this serves no women to have certain women representing the women of dance music. For every res, there's like 8 girls DJing topless, or that they're like Instagram model turned DJ, and like those kind of things.
There has to be a balance in the world, right?
But I feel like that's not balanced.
Not
I'm like, I would
balance.
rather have 8, you know, res types than, you know, this.
From the man's point of view, that might be a balance then.
I guess.
I don't think.
Again, maybe depending on the man. As an artist, we don't want to see a fake, whether they're a female or a male, because that's just one less gig that somebody that deserves it is getting. When you make music, is it a trial and error process for you mostly, or is it I sit down and I know what I want to do and how to make it?
God, no, it's trial and error. I sit down and I have ideas of things I want to make, and I think I know how to make them, but after all these years, I really just don't. It's so hard. I struggle so much with production.
I mean, that's reassuring to me because that's exactly where I'm at. I don't have a music theory background.
Yeah, me either.
I played a couple instruments when I was a kid, but my parents couldn't afford to buy
Same.
these instruments for me to where I'd have them all the time to practice, with the exception of a clarinet that I had owned. But that's what it's like for me, and it's really stressful. And I think it's reassuring to the younger kids coming up to know that that's okay to do that, and that there's nothing wrong with making a song out of mistakes.
No.
So in terms of your label work, you've been a label owner for the last almost 10 years, right?
Yeah.
What I actually read about you was this thing where you said, I'm setting new talent up for success so they can go to bigger and better labels. So I was curious, you know, like, what's the mindset behind that? Why aren't you a bigger and better label?
Well, it goes back to like kind of what I was saying, that at the point in time when I was most successful and my label was doing the best, the dudes that were in charge of like my career decided they did not want me to be the winner of anything. So they were like, oh, we're gonna steal all your artists, and we're gonna steal your whole concept, and we're gonna like do this for yourself. And it's like, it didn't matter. Like, yeah, sure, originally when I started out, I wanted to be a destination. I wanted to be a place where we could grow and like build these artists. But after enough years where nobody let that happen, where every artist that I broke, that I built, left, And oftentimes they weren't leaving because we weren't doing a good job or someone else could do better. They were leaving because their agency was telling them, if you release with Play Me, we will not book you shows anymore. So that was a real easy way to get people to stop affiliating with me. And then all of a sudden I have to go find new artists, which I happen to be good at, which is why I'm still here and still successful. But you know, at the end of the day, you just have to be realistic and be like, okay, well, what? Either I can be upset that I'm not, people don't think of me as Ausla, or I can be grateful that I've been able to help so many people like get a start in the industry.
Man, well, we're looking for investors right now for Play Me. So if you're listening and you're watching this, you know, give us a shout. How did you guys meet?
I mean, we met when we were kids, younger at parties, but we didn't become friends, I'd say, or friendly.
She doesn't recall.
Within,
like, do I know you?
The most within the last recent couple of years, when she started playing for the shows that I was working on at Webster. And,
yeah, probably from Webster Hall is how we really connected, for sure.
Are you guys competitors?
No, not in any way.
You don't compete?
I don't
think so.
I don't think labels are competitive.
Yeah, I don't see it that way at all.
No. I think we're just in the same community, you know. In fact, I looked up to Reid when I was younger, coming up as a DJ, so becoming friends with her later was cool, you know. And my label was just like a small thing that turned into something cool for my friends, and a couple of us had some hits, you know. We never expected it. We got, you know, some top tracks on Beatport or whatever, and that'll be that. I haven't put a track out in a year. I haven't found anything that was worth putting out, but I've also not been actively looking either.
How does the scene differ from New York to LA?
I mean, that's a multi-year question to answer. Like, I would say in the 90s, in the late 90s, there was no scene in the United States better than New York City. Like, we had 7 nights a week of poppin' drum and bass parties. Sometimes it was just locals, and 7 nights a week they would be packed.
Yep.
For like a good 2 years. It was like a really golden era. And at that time in LA, there was like some good drum and bass, but it wasn't popping like that. They might have 1 or 2 nights a week, and they'd have like some bigger like rave events that we didn't have over here.
What about right now, today?
LA's pretty poppin' still. LA like never really ever died. It just like, it went through its like peaks and troughs with drum and bass, but like as a scene of dance music, LA's been consistently growing.
And as far as drum and bass goes, here it's popping again actually, with a couple of the crews like BP Squared and the Bedford guys. They're doing some bigger name drum and bass acts that have a consistent following, that people are eager for the next show that's coming up next month, for the next one in the series, and that was lacking for a long time here in New York. So to be a part of that now is cool. It's cool to see it kind of resurge again with a new group of people and a new generation of kids with some older influence.
Do you guys ever go to Europe? Because I feel like the drum and bass scene is way more established there.
Sure.
They have like over 70 festivals.
Yeah.
In America, it's like under 20.
Yeah.
They play drum and bass on the radio there, so it's taken seriously as a genre of music in a way that it's never been taken seriously here.
We've always been the bastard child of electronic music.
Yeah, and so even like now they have EDM on the radio here, but there's no drum and bass on the radio. But there's,
that's the next step, to get more underground music
I
on the
mean,
radio.
hello, if anyone who does radio, satellite radio is listening, I would love to do the first US drum and bass radio, internet, satellite radio show. I've been trying to pitch people on this for years. I've been doing my own podcast for over 4 years now, like just to have a body of work to show these people whenever they're ready. Like, holler, I'm the one, I can help you.
She's ready.
I've been ready.
Do you ever collaborate with people?
Yeah, all the time. I often collaborate with people because I lack confidence in my own things. Like, I don't think I'm good enough, and maybe if I thought I was good enough, I would be super famous and I would have been like very rich by now. But I'm like,
yeah, that's a good point.
but I'm like, I'm sort of feel like I'm more realistic, where I can sit there and assess things on the way of like how I would judge it if I was gonna play it. So I don't know, you know, that's how I deal with it. So yeah, I collab with a lot of people, and I love to collab with people. It's always really interesting. I always learn a ton of stuff, and it's cool.
Who would you want to see on this show next? Here?
I was offering them Mark the Beast.
We can do Dillon Francis if you want.
Yeah, if you could get Dillon Francis, you should get him. Yeah,
I'm
Mark
gonna
would be
ask him all
cool.
the questions you want to find out.
And hey, you got to get Diplo on here, because people talk a lot of shit on him.
All right.
You should have him clear some of that up.
Diplo, you've got 24 hours to answer my email. This is a no BS challenge.